and stay connected.
Good morning and thanks for tuning into WFMZ. We're staying with you this morning because of the conditions along the Delaware River. I'm WFMZ meteorologist Mark Shanaberger, and we've seen the Lehigh, we've seen the Schuylkill crest, recede, and now they are within their banks, both of them in all locations in our viewing area, so that is some good news. We've seen the Belvedere crest, and it is below flood stage. It was always below flood stage. As far as Easton and Riegelsville go, they have crested, but they are still above flood stage at this hour. And Trenton is the one location that continues to rise, but it has leveled off over the past hour or so. The expected crest was 20.5 feet, and you can see it is above that. But like I said, it has been leveling off over the past hour. So hopefully that we'll see a crest there in Trenton over the next hour or so, and then see that begin to fall as we move through the rest of the morning hours here on our Saturday. But the good news is Lehigh, Schuylkill, they're within their banks. The Delaware, we still have some concern, especially in places like Easton and Riegelsville, we are still well above flood stage by about 3.5 feet in Easton, and Riegelsville by about 3 feet. So we'll keep an eye on those locations, and we do have some more information for you. Bo Koltnow is out in Easton checking in on the Delaware River right now. Bo, how does it look out there?
Well, Mark, the good news is the Delaware seems to be receding, and you can see it behind me. And as you were saying, it's still pretty swollen. But just about a half hour ago, this area all right here, this was completely underwater, but now it's just a bunch of muck. And as we come over to Larry Holmes Drive, which has been closed throughout much of the morning, this is really the only area that we're even seeing any type of spillover, any type of flooding. And just within the past half hour, this has gone down dramatically as well. You can see it's only a little bit above my boot here. But as we look around the area, you can see, if you can look all the way out there, you can see the wet line of where the water was sometime this morning or sometime last night. But the good news is here in Lee Center City, Easton, there isn't too much flooding, although we just spoke with a fire department employee who said that the flats area down there off of Lehigh Drive, that has seen some flooding, and I was told that one guy has about 8 feet of water in his home, or at least he had 8 feet of water in his home, so we will continue to track that. But here again along the Delaware, I'm just going to move again so you guys can kind of just check this out. It is still a little high. South Delaware Drive, that area is closed. But again, Mark, things seem to be okay, at least in this area. But we'll be tracking this throughout the morning. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, and Bo's at that location where the Lehigh meets the Delaware River, and around 1 o'clock this morning is when they actually saw the crest along the Delaware River in Easton. So since then, we've been seeing it kind of recede in those in the Easton area. So that is obviously some good news at this hour. As far as today goes, weather-wise, periods of clouds and sunshine, a late-day shower possible as we see a weak clipper system move through. High temperature of 55 degrees. Then for tonight, clouds breaking. Could deal with a stray sprinkle in some locations as we make our way through the evening hours tonight, so don't be surprised if you see that. As we move into the second half of the weekend, we are talking about windier conditions. It'll be cooler for Monday and Tuesday with a decent amount of sunshine around, and a slight chance for a sprinkle on Wednesday. We'll stay with you here on WFMZ all morning long and continue to keep you updated on what's going on along the Delaware River. For now, we'll send you back to your regularly scheduled program. Good morning and thanks for tuning into WFMZ. I'm your meteorologist Mark Shanaberger, staying with you, keeping you updated on the river levels around the viewing area. Now, the Lehigh and the Schuylkill, they're back within their banks. In all locations, they are below flood stage. So that is the first bit of good news. We also have more good news. Just in the past half hour, we've seen Trenton crest along the Delaware River, and that means that all locations have met their crest at this point. Trenton still very close to it, but starting to see the river level recede in all locations. Easton, Riegelsville, and Trenton still above flood stage, but they are receding, and that is some good news. Now in Easton, this is the 8th highest historical crest on record, so a very substantial crest in Easton with the flooding It's a big concern along the riverbanks, always with the Delaware, especially after what's happened over the past decade in some locations. So we are keeping a very close eye on that situation. Like I said, the 8th highest. We also saw the 12th highest earlier in the week. So a very significant week as far as the flooding goes along the Delaware River. And for more information on that, let's head out to Easton, where Bo Koltnow is standing by with some more details on what's going on out there. He's been giving us some great information all morning long. Bo, what do you have for us now?
Mark, I'm here at the corner of Lehigh Drive and Adamson Street, and we've been talking about some of the effects or ramifications of this flooding, and nowhere is that more evident than here at this corner. If you guys take a look around, you can see this looks like it's part of the Lehigh River, but in fact it's actually 2 streets. Now, about a half hour ago, we were speaking with a man who has a couple of homes along Lehigh Drive. We could not access the point near Riverside Park, so then we drove around to here. But obviously, there's no way to get a car through this area right now. And to give you an idea of just how deep it is, I'm going to use my very sophisticated tree branch to show water level here. I'm going to stick it in. There it is. So what, I don't know, it's maybe a foot or two. It's too deep for a car. It's probably too deep to walk. My feet are actually soaked right now. The water is freezing. But in Center City, Easton, they've had good luck. Only Larry Holmes Drive, that's been the only area that we've seen that was closed this morning, and that was very early. That was around 7 o'clock. They had some minor spillover onto the drive there. We were over along the Delaware as well. That seemed to be okay in Center City, Easton. But here, as we get a little further out with the Lehigh behind me, you can see it is still very, very swollen. And again, this is streets. This is a corner, again, Adamson and Lehigh Drive here in Easton, completely covered, completely flooded over. Everyone here is hoping this recedes in the next couple of hours so they can try to get to their homes, which maybe is about maybe a half a mile down the street here. So hopefully within the next half hour we can give you guys a detailed report of the damage of those homes. But Mark, for now, that's what's happening here on Lehigh Drive and Adamson Street here in Easton. Back to you in the nice, warm, and very dry studio.
Yeah, I got the plum gig today, unfortunately. But you're doing a great job out there, Bo, and always getting his hands dirty and his feet wet in this case, giving you the very latest information on what's going on right there. The Lehigh River was behind him, and you could see that 2 feet deep as he showed us. And as soon as you get around that corner, that river just came sweeping by. So you got to be very careful in these situations. The old saying is, turn around, don't drown. Don't take your car into an area where you're uncertain how deep that water is, because you never know the current below that kind of surface water. So you never know that current underneath. You never know what's below you. So always turn around instead of driving through flooded roadways. And very good information out there in Easton. We'll have more information for you all morning long, so stay with us. As far as the conditions go for today, it's going to be a day where you can recover a little bit. Periods of clouds and sunshine, a late day shower, not out of the question, but certainly nothing to contend with, nothing where we saw the last couple of days, just a shower or two around the area, high temperature of 55 degrees. Then for tonight, clouds breaking, a stray sprinkle can't be ruled out. Most locations probably get away without seeing that. An overnight low of 35 degrees. And there's a look at the 6-day extended forecast. Windy conditions on Sunday with a high around 50. Then cooler conditions for Monday and Tuesday. And really the only chance for precipitation in the forecast right now is on Wednesday. And that doesn't look like it will be a whole lot. So a week to recover after dealing with flooding conditions all week long. As I mentioned earlier, we saw the 12th. Highest historical crest in Easton earlier this week, and then the 8th just earlier this morning. So a pretty significant week as far as the flooding goes in Easton along the Delaware River, and we'll continue to keep you updated all morning long, so stay with us here on WFMZ. Good morning, and thanks for tuning into WFMZ. I'm your meteorologist, Mark Shanaberger, and this morning we're staying with you to keep you updated on the flooding situation across the viewing area. Now, we've seen the Lehigh and the Schuylkill River get back within their banks. They're below flood stage in all locations along both the Lehigh and the Schuylkill River. The one location that is not within its banks is the Delaware River. As you would expect, this is always the last one to kind of get back within its banks and recede, because all that water kind of goes down to the Delaware. Both the Lehigh and the Schuylkill drain into the Delaware at some point. As far as these conditions go, Belvedere, Easton, Riegelsville, Trenton all have crested at this point. That's the first bit of good news. Now, Belvedere has always been below flood stage, so that is good news. Easton, Riegelsville, Trenton are starting to recede, but still above flood stage. So it's going to take some time as we move through the morning hours here before we actually see these get back within their banks. And 22 feet for Easton and Riegelsville is flood stage, 20 feet in Trenton. So it's not going to take long for Trenton, but it will take a bit of time for Easton and Riegelsville to get back within their banks. And this is a historical event across the Delaware River, and we'll get into the details on that in a couple of moments. But let's take a look out in Easton with Bo Koltnow at some of what this historical flooding situation has done for those people in Easton.
Well, Mark, I'm on Lehigh Drive and Winter Street in Easton with the Lehigh River just off in the distance. And you can see already that, you know, some of these pumps, we have pumps here pumping out water from the homes behind me. There are some basements that have up to 5 to 6 feet of water inside them. And now I'm going to be joined by Captain Kevin Arnold of the Easton Fire Department. And thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
So what exactly are you guys tasked with doing this morning?
This morning's task is to empty the basements of all the residents that live down here in the this area next to the river. What we've done is we have some electric pumps that are going to be used to empty the water from their properties. It's kind of tedious, but you know, given some time, we get it down to within a few inches of the floor.
And, you know, back in the studio, Mark Shanaberger was just saying that it's about the 8th highest, I guess, flood stage in Easton's history. So if you can put that in perspective into the amount of work that you've seen this morning compared to, let's say, in 2005 and 2006.
This morning's work is so far it's just been this area. Back in 2005 and 2006, we had a lot of coverage area that we needed to empty out and put back in the river where it belonged. I don't see us being here too much longer, although other residents haven't called yet to let us know that they have issues.
But it's mostly just, I'm sorry to cut you off, it's mostly just been basements and so forth?
Yes. Yeah, usually it's just basements. In 2005, 2006, it really filled up properties where it reached the ground levels. Mm-hmm. You know, people's living rooms and family rooms were damaged because of that. Here in this low-lying area, so far it's just the basement area.
Hey, Captain, I really appreciate it. Take care. Thank you very much. So, you know, again, it's not, you know, I guess real bad compared to obviously 2005 and 2006, which, you know, was just massive devastation. But, you know, as the captain was saying, there is work being done here, and we'll continue to track it throughout the morning. So that's what's happening here at Lehigh Drive and Winter Street in Easton. Mark, back to you in the studio.
Thanks so much, Bo. And yeah, it's a day of cleanup for those people. And the odd thing about these historical ranks is basically there was nothing between basically 25 feet in Easton historically and basically 30 feet. So there was a wide difference between like 24 feet all the way up to 30 feet. There was no crest in there historically, and now we do have a crest in that window, that 5-foot window in Easton, and that puts us at 8th. And so certainly not as bad as 2004, 2005, 2006, but historical nonetheless in Easton, ranking 8th. Riegelsville, the same situation, 8th. Trenton, 15th. Belvedere, 10th. As far as historical crests go. So it was a very significant event across the Delaware River. Not as bad as we saw earlier in the 2000s, but still pretty significant. And we did see a historical crest in Easton earlier in the week. So it's been an eventful week for those along the Delaware River. Over the past 6 hours, you can see really nothing happening out there. And I think that overall today, that's what we're going to have to deal with, is basically nothing, maybe a late day shower, but that's it. So it's a day to recover for those people along the Lehigh, the Schuylkill River, and also along the Delaware River as we continued cleanup after some of that flooding. A high temperature today of 55 degrees. Then for tonight, clouds breaking after we see a cold front pass through here. Stray sprinkle can't be ruled out before that happens, though. An overnight low of 35. And there's a look at the 6-day extended forecast. And like I said, today is a day to clean up. Tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, even Wednesday and Thursday. St. Patrick's Day, maybe you don't want to clean up, but the next several days, we don't have to really worry about a major rain event. So it's a chance for those river levels to continue to recede as we move through this upcoming week. We will stay with you here on WFMZ and continue to give you updates on what's going on along the Delaware River. Stay with us. We'll be back in a half an hour. Good morning, and thanks for tuning in to WFMZ. I'm your meteorologist, Mark Shanaberger, and this morning we've been keeping you updated on the flooding condition around our viewing area. The Lehigh, Schuylkill rivers, they're back within their banks below flood stage, so that is good news. We've also seen all locations along the Delaware River crest this morning at some point or another, and now we're continuing to see them recede. Now, there is one location that is below flood stage, and that is Belvedere. And even though Easton, Riegelsville, and Trenton are receding, they're still above flood stage at this hour. And I expect that for the rest of the morning and into the afternoon, most of these locations will be above flood stage. So we're not out of the woods just yet, but we're moving in the right direction. And today, the weather shouldn't be that bad and give us a chance to kind of recover from some of the flooding situations that were going on around our viewing area over the last couple of days. So that is some good news as far as the river levels, as far as the weather goes. It's not going to add to the problem that's already out there. So that is some good news. And as far as what happened along the Delaware River, it was a historical crest for many locations, and we'll get to those numbers in a couple of minutes. But first, let's check in with Bo Koltnow, who's out in Easton, checking in on the Delaware and Lehigh rivers out there. Bo, what do you have for us this time?
Checking in on the Delaware and Lehigh rivers out there. Bo, what do you have for us this time?
Mark, for the past several hours, we've been tracking the Lehigh River, but now I'm above the Delaware, just along Route 611, about 5 miles south of Easton. Looking behind me, it's hard to see where the road, the canal, and the river separate. From this vantage point, they all look to be as one. Now, we've driven, sections of Route 611 do have this flooding area in them. We were able to get to about this far, and I would think that this area here, it goes on for probably about maybe quarter of a mile. It looks to be flooded out, but there doesn't seem to be any threatening to homes and so forth. Now, that was a different story along the Lehigh River, Lehigh Drive in Easton. Several homes along that stretch of water, their basements were flooded. The Easton Fire Department was there on the last hit we were at. They were pumping out about 5 feet of water from someone's basement along Lehigh Drive. But, we're trying to make our way south, Mark, to get into the Robsville area, to get into the Riegelsville area. I know you've spoken about those. We haven't been able to see those up close so far. So hopefully on our next hit, we're going to try to somehow get through this section of 611 here that is flooded over, so we can then head down and see what homeowners in that area are going through. But for now, stretches along 611 have been flooded over, which includes about this section here, and we're about 5 minutes again south of Easton. So that's what's happening here along the Delaware. Back to you in the warm and dry studio.
Yeah, Bo has been diligent in getting us the best information all morning long, and unfortunately, this is going to be our last hit for this morning, so maybe we will have some of those images of Riegelsville later on tonight. Tune into 69 News Weekend Edition, which starts tonight at 6 p.m., but we want to take a look at what's happened along the Delaware River, and you can see historically where some of these crests over the last 24 hours rank along the Delaware River, and you can see 10th in Belvedere, 8th in both Easton and Riegelsville, 15th in Trenton. So it was a historical rank, certainly not on the order of what we saw in 2004, 2005, or 2006. Just to give you some indication, we're talking about 26.13 in Easton, and the lowest of that 2004, 2005, 2006 string was like 33.5 feet. So we're talking a difference of 7 feet very significant when you're talking about flooding. So a major difference, even though we're only talking about a ranking of maybe 3. That was the 5th. This is the 8th. So a very significant week for those along the Delaware River. And thankfully, it looks like this will come to an end today. And then we'll have a chance to recover over the next week or so because we're not expecting any major rainfall events. Today, periods of clouds and rain. A late day shower can't be ruled out as we see a weak cold front move through here, a high temperature of 55 degrees. Then for tonight, we'll see the clouds break up. A stray sprinkle is possible, but once again, it's not going to be much. And even across the northern part of our viewing area, it's going to be very hit and miss. An overnight low of 35. There's a look at the 6-day extended forecast. Windy conditions on Sunday. A little bit cooler for Monday and Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we could see a sprinkle, but no significant rainfall events as we move through the next several days. I want to thank you on behalf of Bo and myself for staying with us here all morning long as we continue to keep you updated on the flooding conditions along the Delaware River. And at this point, this will bring us to an end as far as these updates go. But you can stay tuned to 69 News. I'll keep you updated as we move through the rest of the morning. Have a great day.